welcome to Butterflies of Wisdom, everyone. Today, not only do you have me, you have Ron, and so without further ado, I'm going to let Ron take it away.
Hi, Wynn. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here to talk to your listeners. I get to spend my days as part of the firm Navalent, working with leaders of all kinds of communities all over the world, in small organizations and nonprofits and large corporations, all in the pursuit of some profound degree of transformational change, which we all know can be very difficult. So we get to accompany these leaders on their pursuits of new customers, new products, new organizations, new cultures, and help them beat the odds of change and have it actually stick.
Beat the odds of change. I like that. I definitely like that because I'm beating the odds of change right now myself. And so, Vaughn, what would be your best advice for someone who is in the middle of a company but is stuck?
So common, Wynn. We often get called when leaders have tried pulling lots of levers and nothing is really moving, or they really can't get change to happen. And I think the biggest challenge is that people often don't know what it takes to change a system. They'll pull out the training lever, or they'll pull out the culture lever, or they'll do the classic rearrange the boxes on the org chart. But to change a system takes much more. And you have to change holistically. You have to look at how the entire organization fits together in its software, its people, its talent, its value system, and its hardware, its governance systems, where decisions are made, where resources are allocated, its structures, and change it holistically. But all of that has to be in the interest of a strategy. We all have to want to go the same place, and we all have to understand where and why we want to go there. Too often, change is done capriciously and incrementally, and then it often doesn't stick. And so I would tell somebody who was stuck to stop, step back, and before swinging your axe again, get a deeper look, get a good organizational diagnosis, get we call an organizational MRI, and really understand what's preventing the organization from change and why it's unable to realize its aspirations before you go any further. Because the more you try and impose change that doesn't stick, the more you discourage and make your workplace cynical. And every promise of failed change makes people check out more.
I definitely agree with that. And you'll be happy to know, Ron, that question wasn't geared towards me. I'm stuck as of 2 weeks ago. I finally made a huge shift in my company, which my fan base knows about. They do not know about the other huge shift I'm making in my life. They actually know part of it, but I'm stuck with my life and my company as of 2 weeks ago. So that's not me, but for someone.
Congratulations, Wynn. That's great. Good for you for persisting, and good for you for sticking it through.
Thank you. For someone who's disabled, who's listening to this podcast, and they think, I'm stuck in my own company, or I'm stuck in a job that I don't like, that's why I asked you that question. Mm-hmm. How could people get unstuck?
Well, it certainly takes persistence. Very often, when the odds feel stacked against you, when you feel discouraged and you've tried repeatedly to get change to happen, it can be very discouraging to try and keep at it. And I think change of any kind takes courage. It takes tremendous will, but it also takes help. I think it's important that whenever we reach for significant levels of change, we do it together. We have others join us. We have community. We have people around us to accompany us. You can never do it alone. And so I think in any organization, if you can mobilize people together and build a coalition of belief, you can definitely mobilize people toward change much better than if you try and go it alone.
I agree. And asking for help doesn't mean you're weak. It just means you need help. And this is coming from a woman who's now 30 with a physical disability, me. And I've asked for help since day one. I've gotten help since day one with my company and with my life. And I tend to ask everyone who I can ask for help because it's not a sign of a weakness. It's a sign of I need help.
Well, I think it's a sign of great strength to ask for help, to acknowledge that we all have great capacity, and then we also have limitations. I think it takes great courage and strength to honor your limitations and to have others help you. Too often, you're absolutely right, Lynn. Too often leaders see asking for help as a sign of weakness, and so they hide their limitations, when the reality is they're actually broadcasting the limitations. The more you try and hide them, the more you advertise them.
Yeah, exactly. The more you try and hide them, the more you're getting yourself into trouble, which is not
Absolutely.
good.
There's just no point. There's no point.
No point. No point. Now, I understand you wrote a book. Can you talk about the book?
I would love to. Actually, I've written 8. But my most recent one was a very exciting experience based on a 10-year longitudinal study of leaders in organizations. For too long, we've known that about 50 to 60% of leaders on their way up in the organization fail within the first 18 months of their assignment. And that's been known for 20 years. Well, when it started to be our clients that were failing, it became personal for us. And of course, the carnage from that failure is extensive. You have families and careers that are ruined, opportunities that are missed, organizational embarrassment. And so we wanted to dig up further and find out why is it that this is just a normal statistic? Why is it that these people in the middle of an organization who were once bright, considered high potential, considered with great promise, suddenly become disasters as they work their way up in an organization? And so we had 2,700 interviews, and we isolated 100 leaders in mid-ascent to see if we could find the landmines that they were stepping in. And it was a shocking discovery for us when we realized that so many of the reasons they fail are the landmines organizations put in their way on the way up. And so helping to detect and be able to warn leaders on their way up that these are the experiences you may have and here's how to avert disaster was very rewarding, and it's been extremely encouraging to get emails from all over the world from leaders who have taken advantage of the research and the material and read the book and helped guide their ascent in a way that helped them succeed. The really exciting part of the research was that in addition to understanding what it was that caused 50% of the leaders to fail, we were also able to isolate the factors that made the other half succeed and what it was they were doing that enabled them to not only ascend but thrive at the top of the organization.
And because they were failing at work, let's be honest here, they were bringing work home with them, which didn't make them very happy campers because they were bringing the stress of a failing job home with them, and then you got the other side, those people who are succeeding were bringing, oh, let's go out to dinner home, and happy-go-lucky home. And so at the same time, you had two opposite ends of the spectrum.
That's so true, Wynn. You can't, it's such a myth to think that our work and our life are separate entities. I think the long gone are the days that we should strive for work-life balance. I think it's about work-life integration and keeping our life integrated.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. You hit the nail right on the head because we have iPads, we have laptops, we have iPhones, all hooked up to email. We can get phone calls at 7 a.m. if they choose. And so we need to find a work-life balance. And for those of you who are just tuning in and don't know what my life plan is to become a freelance writer and a New York Times best-selling author and work as a solo entrepreneur within the next 3 years because, yes, I'm slowly but surely stepping away from the landmine of education and early childhood education. That's a landmine in itself. So I don't bring the drama of the kids home with me.
Well, good for you. I'll look forward to seeing your book on the bestseller list and buying it.
Well, thank you for that. And that being said, what is your favorite book? It doesn't have to be a business-related book. It just has to be a book that you go back to time and time again.
There's so many great books out there, but one of my all-time favorites is by David White. It's called Crossing the Unknown Sea. And it's Work as a Pilgrimage of Life. And it's a beautiful book about how it is our work is an expression of our identity and core to who we are and why it's so important. And it honors it helps people, I think, understand why their expression of their work is so important to them and how not to make it an idol or make it an unhealthy pursuit.
And what has been your favorite entrepreneurial moment in all this?
Gosh, I think, I have my own firm. We're 13 years old now, and it's exciting to watch our employees grow and thrive. I think each time we bring in new employees and new consultants to our firm and watch them thrive and grow, it's inspiring to me to watch people want to come alongside a small company. And, big companies, small companies, everybody has their own preferences, but I think a small company entrepreneurial life isn't for everybody. And so it's very exciting when young aspiring professionals want to come join us and make their way and have impact in the world. It's very exciting.
Well, I definitely agree. Now, what has been your biggest challenge in all this?
So I think, personally, it's my introversion. I think many people assume I'm extroverted because I spend so much time in front of people, but the reality is I'm naturally prone to introverted, so I get tired easily. And so finding time, I think most introverts in the world would agree, finding time to rejuvenate and refresh on your own is critical. I think organizationally and strategically, I think trying to grow a small firm in a niched place that where there are lots of other people out here, creating demand for your business and distinguishing our voice and distinguishing our thought leadership continues to be ever so challenging as the market becomes more cluttered with people who say and use the same language and words. And so finding a way for us to distinguish ourselves for the marketplace looking for help that we offer is always a challenge.
Yeah, making our voices heard is always a challenge. And as my family knows, I'm cut from a different cloth. I beat to a different drum. And so it's always a challenge running a company with a disability. And it's always a challenge going through those entrepreneurial moments. And now you said you were 13, your son is 13 years old. Were you in the corporate world before this?
I was, yes. I was in part of a large consulting firm, and before that I was part of 3 large corporations. And I learned early on that it's very difficult to be a prophet in your own land. That when you go inside a corporation and you decide you want to be part of the changes they invited you to, it's very difficult because a lot of times the political landscapes or the cultural landscapes don't really allow for change that easily. And I had to learn some hard lessons about what it means to be cut out to be a provocateur of change from both within inside but also outside an organization. And I just learned that for me, I'm better at it outside the organization, not from within it.
Yeah, I have decided, and it didn't hit me until today. I'm a better boss than I am a better coworker. Yeah, I'm realizing that I am a better boss controlling my creative side than I am a better coworker. I don't follow the rules very well. And that being said, to those people that don't follow the rules and want to start their own company, what would you say?
I think entrepreneurial is not for everybody. And so I would say make sure you know you're running towards something, not away from something. So even if you don't like big corporate life, it doesn't mean you're meant to start your own company. There are many entrepreneurs out there that have great ideas, but what it takes to actually start and sustain a business is hard. And it takes a rare set of persistence and resilience and ingenuity and adaptability to adapt to life in a small business world. So I would say to somebody, be very clear on what you're aspiring to and what you want. Knowing that you don't want a big company is one thing. Knowing that you don't want that doesn't mean you know what you do want. But that said, if you do decide to venture out and begin your own journey of entrepreneurialism, be very, very disciplined in how you invest, who you invite to partner with you, in where you scale your business, and be very, very clear early on strategically who you will and won't be. Too many entrepreneurs cast the net too wide and try and be all things to all people, and any revenue that comes in they take just to keep the lights on. And the reality is you end up diluting great ideas when you don't narrow your focus and limit the scope of your business to what you truly can succeed at.
Okay. That is great advice. I had a meeting this morning and they wanted to know what my life goals were. And basically I said I want to be a freelance journalist, a podcaster, and a New York Times bestselling author, thank you very much. And they go gulp because they're used to putting kids in, young adults with disabilities and kids in jobs. And so when I come and say, I know my life goal is freelance journalism, they go gulp. But we're going to see what happens. And that's why I agree. Entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, but if you can do it, that's fabulous.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing where your life goes.
I look forward to that too, but you're on this journey with me. So explain to us why you opened up the firm and why you wrote the book. Did you open up the firm just to help clients, help leaders become better leaders? And why did you write 8 books?
So, great question, Wynn. For me, I don't make my living as an author. I make my living as a consultant. Writing for me is about learning. When I see that there are persistent challenges my clients are facing, and I want to help, I have to go learn about those. So my own research and writing is a way for me to learn and absorb and look for patterns across organizations and patterns across cultures that help me understand and solve the issues my clients are trying to solve for, so that it helps me be credible with them when they ask for help. Unlike people who are authors where they have to make a living writing books. So we started the firm, 3 of us started the firm 13 years ago because we were part of a large consulting firm that got acquired by an even larger consulting firm. And once you get acquired by a big company like that, your focus shifts from your passion to serve clients and your passion to make a difference to the need to, generate revenue and grow and run a company. And for us, the love and passion is for the work. And so we decided we can still have that dream. We can still love and care about the work and make a great difference in organizations. We can go start our own firm. So I don't know that we set out to grow a firm. I think what we set out to do was to do the work we love to do with people we love doing it with. Because I think when you love the people you work with, it changes the work. And so little did we know when we set out that we would grow to a firm, of our size today. But I'm not sure we set out to do that. The last book, which, by the way, for your listeners is called Rising to Power, The Journey of Exceptional Executives, and it can be found on Amazon. It can be found at our website at www.navalent.com. For me, again, it was the pain of watching the promise of great leaders fail. And I don't think any organization is going to wake up one day and say, gosh, we have too many great leaders. What are we going to do with all the spares?
No. They're not.
So
They're not.
when you have people who have great potential and great promise, and you accelerate their careers to prepare them for broader assignments, there's no reason to have them fail. We can do much better. We don't have to have half fail. We can do much better, and I want to do better. I believe we don't have to have great women and men who have the chance to have great impact for our communities and organizations flame out because no one helped them or prepared them for the jobs we gave them.
I definitely agree. And so basically what's going on is we don't solo entrepreneurs to say, I'm done with this and I am over it. I need to go back to a corporate job and a steady paycheck. And those who are in burnout mode right now, what would you recommend, Lon?
Well, I mean, most people would say they want their work to matter. They want to be around people in communities where their work and their contributions can matter, where they're not treated as a cog in a wheel. And I think there are wonderful, wonderful organizations out there. If you just go and look at all the companies that are B Corp now, the B Corp companies are doing fabulous things, and employees want to be part of them. There are plenty of small businesses looking for talented people. And so I would say don't give up. Don't give up on your dream to have your work matter. Whether you can do that as a solopreneur or an entrepreneur in your own venture or in someone else's, you still can contribute. Be very clear on the talents you have. Be very clear on how you want to contribute, and what makes your heart beat, what makes you impassioned and come alive. And just know that there are plenty of places to make that contribution. It doesn't have to be in a large, stale, stifling political company. And there are even big companies out there that actually are wonderful places to work. They're not all horrible death marches. And so, I would say rather than feeling like you're giving up on your dream, remember that your dream is to contribute and make a difference and have impact and to use your God-given talents to do great good and to earn a good living, right? There are lots of ways to make that happen. So I would say step back and remember that you want to contribute, make a difference, and earn a good living, not be so wed to precisely how you do that. Now, if your real passion is to be a startup venturist and create something that you then grow and scale, and that's really what makes your heart beat, then stick with it. But go learn. Go prepare yourself and learn. Too many entrepreneurs don't train themselves on what it means to start a business, to scale a business, to fund a business, to market a business, and to compete in a business. They just love the idea of being entrepreneurs, but they don't really know how to be one. And so if that's really what you want to do, go and be trained. Go and learn from great entrepreneurs what it means to be a successful, persistent, and resilient entrepreneur, and know that it's not going to be easy.
Exactly. I think you stole my brain. I think you stole my brain when you said it's not going to be easy. Go learn. Go do all this stuff. So that being said, what is your favorite podcast that you would like to recommend to all my listeners?
Well, of course I would start with Butterflies of Wisdom.
Of course.
But my second favorite one, there's so many good ones out there, but I really love, especially for entrepreneurs, it's called Brand Journalism Advantage by Phoebe Chimchura, and she's a fabulous podcaster.
I have heard of that one. Heard of that one, and
she's
she
great.
is a fabulous podcaster too. I have heard of that one. I've actually listened to that one, but I need to subscribe to it again, you guys. And she's a wonderful podcaster, and I believe she was a TV host at one point. So she not only knows behind the mic, but she knows in front of the mic too, which is always a great thing. And so where can people find you, and how can people get a hold of you?
So come visit our website at www.navalent, navalent.com, or reach me at email at ron@navalent.com. If they'd like to get a copy, we have a free ebook on leading transformation, and they can come to www.navalent.com/transformation and get our free ebook there. They can find my books on Amazon. Just search Ron Carucci and Carucci, or search my latest book, Rising to Power. And usually they have on the side there other books as well. So lots of ways to get in touch. At Twitter, I'm at Ron Carucci. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. So I hope your listeners will come find me and connect.
You're all over the place, Ron. And before I let you go, I'm actually going to let you ask me a couple questions about anything that you've been interested in asking me.
Well, and so one of the things that I'm always inspired by with people with disabilities, and I think our society still has not got this right. We have such a long way to go when we don't understand the amazing talents and abilities. I think we too often dismiss the fortitude, the talent, the ingenuity of people with disabilities. My son has some learning disabilities, and he has also been an incredible mentor to people with autism. He has coached Special Olympics. He's a real passion for people who struggle, and he's been very good with them, and it's always inspiring to me. He has he writes a blog. This is a great blog for your listeners. It's called Seattle Secrets, SEACRETS, and it's a website for people who have disabilities and struggles and how they overcome those and find joy in life. And all he does is interview them and say, in the midst of your adversity, how have you found joy? And it's a beautiful website. So my question for you is, you have been persistent. You already have a book out. You have a wonderful podcast, and you want to contribute. How do you stay persistent? How have you not allowed your disability to become an obstacle?
How have I stayed persistent? Well, I think the podcast educates me on a daily to weekly basis, and I think asking for support, as we mentioned at the top of the call, I think asking for support is helpful too. And so that's how I stayed persistent. Ask for help when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to interview rock stars like you, and this podcast has opened up so many doors that I can't believe it.
Did you ever struggle with getting past believing that your disability didn't matter, that your disability was not going to be an obstacle to you? Did you ever struggle with doubting that you could do it?
A little. When I was younger, when I was in my elementary school years, I doubted that I could do it. And so yes, to be honest with you, I have doubted myself, but I managed to do it.
One of the questions, I don't know if we'll get to it, but we talked about how would I help people with disabilities. And the thing I love to watch is when people who have been marginalized for some reason, whether it's a physical or an emotional or a mental disability, become self-sufficient, become all of who they could become. And I think I would love to find more ways in society. I love it when I see entrepreneurs begin businesses to help create employment opportunities, or job or training opportunities, because we still, sadly, in 2017, we still don't have this right, and we're missing out on so much, and so are people with disabilities as a result. And so finding pathways for them to contribute and become self-sufficient would be my passion to do.
Well, that's a lovely way to end this interview. And you guys, you heard it straight from the horse's mouth. He wants to be an equal opportunity employer, and maybe I can help him with that. No, I mean that seriously, Ron, because a lot of disabled people are struggling out there to find jobs, and let's work together and let's see what we can come up with. And you guys, I will, by the time you hear this episode, it will be, let's see, I have it, Thursday, and you will hear straight from the horse's mouth. I appreciate Ron pitching me and coming on. He pitched me, I didn't pitch him, and he found me through freeguest.com, and he literally looked me up and then pitched me as secretary did, and I said, bring him on. And so I'm happy that we made this interview happen, and I can't wait for you guys to join me on this crazy, wild adventure of what we call life. Thanks, you guys.